Everything changes. I could burst into song. I could sing everything changes but you, which is not my favourite Take That song. I think my favourite is Relight My Fire with Lulu, if you remember that one. Don't worry, I won't break into song for that one. I happened to share a recording studio in Sheffield some years ago when that was recorded. So during the day, Lulu would be in there with Take That, and the fabulous pop producer Elliot Kennedy, and I asked Elliot if he wouldn't mind doing a demo recording of the two girls that I managed at the time, someone's daughters, who had fabulous pop songs. I loved them to bits, and he did, and it's one of the most fun and uplifting experiences I've ever had the pleasure to witness, from working up the percussion and the bass line. Elliot himself is a bass player, top-notch bass player with a heart of gold, and he's a big mate of what's the name of the songwriter in Take That? It'll come to me in a moment. Not Robbie Williams, the other one. He won't like me for that. And he laid down the basic rhythm tracks, the drums and the bass, and then he put the keyboards on himself, and then that's better. The light's changing fast here, and then he got the girls doing their vocal booth stuff, and he added vocal harmony, a sort of falsetto, which was great. And then one evening he phoned his mate Steve Bayton. He said, "Steve, bring your sax. I need a sax solo." And Steve Bayton came in, went into this vocal booth, warmed up his sax a couple of octaves. Elliot said, "Right, what I want you to do is in this chorus, I want you to do a sax solo which goes do 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 do." And first take, Steve Bayton, he nailed it. This fabulous sax solo. And he said, "Oh, Elliot, shall I do it again?" He said, "No, mate, that was perfect." He didn't actually use those words. He said it was very good, Steve, and we used that. So we did recordings with someone's daughters. Their biggest hit, Not, was called "The Way That You Love Me," fabulous pop song. And but during the day, Elliot was recording Lulu and Take That. So there's a little Sheffield days story. The girls sacked me, by the way, because I was rubbish at being a pop manager, and I never got them signed to Go Discs in the end. But I'm still thankful for the experience. It is one of the highlights. You know, there's as the saying goes, you don't learn from success, you learn from your failures. So if you want to learn anything, have a few failures. You see, if you are successful, if you happen to be successful at doing something, whether it be in music or business or writing, anything, if it happens to be successful, you'll think, that were all right, wasn't it? I did that well. And you don't look for the lessons that you learn from it. You assume what you did was right. I used to mentor startup businesses in the creative and digital sector. It was a sort of a cross between Robin Hood and Cilla Black. What we used to do, we used to rob money from Business Link and Yorkshire Forward, and it was mostly European money, to help start creative businesses, which we were very good at. But then the Cilla Black bit was we would recruit mentors, photographers, music producers, web developers, designers, to give startup creatives a bit of an advantage by putting alongside them more experienced practitioners, so they could pass on their skills to the startup, and it was wonderfully successful. But you see, the temptation is to see what one particular successful business has done and simply replicate that or emulate it in some way. So this is how the business support network used to work, really. You would sort of distill from other entrepreneurs' experience what seemed to be the magic formula. You'd write it down, you'd put it down in a PDF, and you'd think it was the bee's knees. This is, it's a bit like trying to extract James Dyson's DNA and inject it into some other engineering startup. Well, it sounds sensible, but in fact it's barking up the wrong tree, because in fact it's the very fact that an independent-minded entrepreneur like James Dyson or many others that we helped start up, they do things differently, they see things differently, they see an opportunity, they've got passion, they are aware of what other people are doing, but they've got the courage of their convictions to take their own line on things. And guess what? That's very often why they happen to be successful. But that's a red herring anyway, because this this obsession with success, I would suggest, is misplaced anyway. Just do what you love to do. That is reason enough. Who said that the purpose of making videos or recording songs or writing a novel or anything is purely for its success? Well, perhaps in terms of financial success or its celebrity success. Its true value is in the creativity, in the doing of it. I've got my best mate is a very accomplished entrepreneur and businessman, but he's writing a dystopian science near future novel, and you should see his eyes light up, his whole demeanour, his shoulders back, his head up when he's talking about his novel and how it's going. This is what any creative pursuit is really about. So whatever, there's a lovely quote which I'll have to try and trawl out of my recesses from Goethe, I think it is. Whatever you have in mind you can or want to do it now. Boldness has, and then I can't remember the last bit. Boldness has got good stuff in it. But in other words, just do it. The reward is in just doing it. And it seems to me, when you are aligned with your true north, like the compass inside you, so long as you are aligned to your true north, you will bear fruit. That's how nature works, that's how gardening works. It's the natural fruitfulness. It's a fruit of the spirit, I guess. When you are being true to your spirit, you will be fruitful, and that is enough. And of course, if you ask me, well, how do I know what is my passion? How do I know what is my true north? What is my contribution to the world? Well, if you're not spending time in quiet, then you're not going to hear that still small voice inside, are you? So in this lockdown situation, we have the perfect opportunity to be quiet, to be still, and know that I am God. That's what it says in Psalms. But the knowing about your passion or your calling or your fruitfulness is the after effect of being still. So first things first, my friends, find it your small corner and I'll find mine. Be quiet, light a candle, have a few icons. That's always a good thing. Somebody showed me their icons just this morning. That sounds rude. Show us your icons, love. Ramana Maharshi, Papa G, of course, Muji, we love Muji, and also Jesus and Russian icons. Create this sacred space in a corner of your room. Heaven knows we've got plenty of time to do it. Be creative. Do a brass rubbing of your, I don't know, what I know. Get some brass coins out on your kitchen table and do some brass rubbings of faces. They can be your icons. And just spend time marinating in your own juices of being. Be still is the starting point. T.S. Eliot writes in one of his 4 quartets. That would be a good that would be a good pub quiz. How many quartets are there in T.S. Eliot's 4 quartets? No, perhaps not. He says, "In the end is my beginning." At first, that sounds like very negative, very almost nihilistic. In the end is my beginning. But actually, I think it's very positive, very optimistic. Everything has a cycle, a season. So, for example, when it comes to, it's spring now, but when it comes to autumn, we don't bemoan the fact that the leaves turn brown and fall off the trees. It's the end of those leaves as they know it, but they've given themselves up to be mulch, to be food for the next season's growth. And so at this time of coronavirus, where we have to let go of our own falling leaves, of our expectations of how normal life is, because it's not going to go back to normal. It really has shifted the ground under our feet, both economically, socially, psychologically, I would say. So it's a good opportunity to use it, let go of the things that we're familiar with. It's a mulch for growing new shoots, and we can be very thankful and positive about that. And my next little chat on the bench by the river here is going to be on thankfulness. Ciao.